Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host, Boise, and this is Raw Review. What an episode we got this week. We had the biggest heel versus the biggest baby face on the show. My god, that's a surprising concept. We had WWE admitting they kind of effed up for the last few weeks. And we had a shock title change. With all that and much more, let's hit the music. So we kicked off the show with Seth freaking Rollins in the ring, and he was angry, he was annoyed, and he had one person to blame. Not Dean Ambrose, not the guy he's taking on at TLC, none other than General Manager elect Baron Corbin. He calls Corbin down and he lays on all the grievances which I think the WWE Universe have all been having for the last 2 or 3 weeks with Raw. Pretty much, the ratings are crap, the storytelling's crap, and you being the big heel is kind of stupid. And it was interesting, I've got to say, it was interesting that WWE kind of admitted, look, guys, we do apologise, the stories haven't been great, the viewers haven't been coming back to us, and it's kind of our fault. It was kind of like that, but instead of, really fully saying that, they just went, it's Baron Corbin's fault. Understandable. But yeah, it was kind of like a nice little... It was like a nice little apology from WWE. In a little way, it was kind of like, we understand, guys. You're frustrated. You want things to happen, and we get that. And I think that's where this week's episode tried to go, and I think it did well. Seth challenged Baron Corbin to a match after him and Baron Corbin exchanged some words, especially with Baron Corbin saying he's going to be at TLC, but his opponent's not going to be there, and that's a shame because the WWE Universe is going to miss him in a TLC match. So Seth challenged him to a TLC match for the main event of this week's episode of Raw. Baron turned it down, and he just kept on badgering him until he decided, you know what, screw it, we're going to have a TLC match, but it's going to be for your Intercontinental Champion. Seth agreed, and that laid out the main event, and that was a good build up for the main event. I really enjoyed that. So for a score, I'm gonna actually give this a solid 8 out of 10 because I think Seth Rollins did a great job, I think Baron Corbin did a great job, and WWE kind of nudging that they admit that they messed up was a nice little thing. So for me, 8 out of 10, good start to the show. Well done, Raw, well done. Next up, we had a 3-on-2 tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. This was AOP and their manager Drake Maverick taking on Bobby Roode and his tag team partner Chad Gable. And I think this was a decent match. I think this was AOP's best match since they've got onto the main roster. That's not hard to say. I think this was the best chemistry so far I have seen of Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. I feel like they are a team. I don't see this as, Bobby Roode's heel turn coming anytime soon because they feel like there's chemistry now. And we've been seeing it for the last couple of weeks, especially with everything which is going on, but I feel like this time around they feel more and more like a legitimate tag team. They came out together with Bobby Roode's music like they always do, but this time around Chad Gable had his own robe, he had his own name on it, and even on the trunks he had the same trunks as Bobby Roode, but with Gable on the back. Yeah, I honestly thought this is great. This was interesting. It was the heel team dominating all the time. Drake Maverick being the sneaky manager, like, I will only get in once they're weakened, and pretty much that was the tactics. Razor and Akon would just beat the crap out of them, and when it looked like they could be pinned, Drake Maverick would tag in and try and get the victory. And that's what cost AOP the titles. Yes, we had a shock title change. Looked like Bobby Roode was taken out. This was great. It was very similar to what we got last week, but this time around Chad Gable managed to get out before he got taken out completely. He did get taken out by Akon. Razor was about to pin Bobby Roode. Drake Maverick tells him, I want to pin him, and pins him. He's about to pin him. Bobby Roode quickly pins him down. 1, 2, 3. Bit of a fast car, I've got to say. And we have new Raw Tag Team Champions of the World, Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. I think congrats goes to those guys. I think they've worked their asses off from building up this team, and they've really kind of got over. They haven't been super over like other teams like the B team or anything, but I think they've actually done really well to earn this title. AOP didn't do anything with the titles. It's a bit of a shame. They are a dominant team, but that's all they are, just two big guys, and they've got no personality, and I think that's what was costing them a lot in this, so their first title reign, really. So for me, I'm going to give it, because it was such a shock title win, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely check it out, guys. It was worth watching. Next up, we had Riott and Natalya, pretty much spreading words. Mainly, we had Natalya in the ring. She said she's going to dedicate this match to her dad. You know, understandable. Her dad's passed away not too long ago, and I always find it a bit awkward when WWE use real life situations like a superstar's parent who was a former WWE superstar to kind of elevate their story. And I think that's always been a little bit like they've kind of used it straight after he died. It was not too soon after he died they started really using this, and I'd never felt comfortable with it in the first place, and they're still continuing this. Natalya did a typical babyface hit, you know, promo. That's fine, and that's fine. I kind of find it, Natalya's a bit boring on the mic. I hate to say it. She is sometimes, especially with these type of promos. Riott, Sarah Logan, and Liv Morgan came out. Sarah and Liv walked away backstage after dropping something off. Ruby unveils a table with Natalya's father kind of cut out on the table and says, I'm going to put you through the table and you're going to be closer to your father than you ever have been. To be honest, that's kind of a very short version of Riott's promo. I've got to say, between the two of them, Riott was the better on the mic. You'd think someone like a veteran like Natalya would have been better, but no, it was Ruby who was the better one. I think it felt a lot more, you know, savage and everything like that. She really worked on her mic skills, and her facial expressions are very, very key to this. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I'm not disappointed. I think Riott's promos have got so much better since she's moved to Raw. But I just think that it was just a boring promo, to say the least. Next up, we had we started off with Drew McIntyre in the ring getting interviewed, and he was talking about his first pinfall defeat to Dolph Ziggler, pretty much because of Finn Balor getting involved. And he said, I'm going to have my rematch tonight against Dolph Ziggler. I'm going to show the world that one loss doesn't make me a loser. It's pretty much, it makes me a very dangerous man. And that's what this match was. This match was a rematch. And again, all you can say is, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler in the ring. Two really good sellers, really good backbones of selling and everything else. They're great in the ring. They've got great chemistry. I said this last time. I think they are brilliant wrestlers, and that's what they were. It was a really good match. Dolph's selling was on point. I love how he does the knee thing when he's injured, and it looks like he's about to collapse. Dolph Ziggler, no one else in the ring makes me believe they're about to collapse like Dolph Ziggler does. So, Drew McIntyre was an absolute Terminator through this whole match. He was psychotic, and he felt like he was, if pushed any further, he would fully injure Dolph Ziggler out of commission for months, and that's how it came across in this. But yeah, both men had a fantastic match, and Drew did get he got a victory. It's kind of like, we just saw this match, and now the result, it's one apiece. It just kind of feels like that for me. So, a great match, great chemistry between two really good competitors. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, we had yet another mixed match challenge kind of promotional match where we saw Alicia Fox taking on Bayley. In Bayley's corner, we had Sasha Banks, her BFF, and in Alicia Fox's corner, we had none other than Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers. this was, it was doing what it's supposed to do. It's advertising the Mixed Match Challenge tomorrow night on Facebook Live, and that's all it was. Bayley's new Mixed Match Challenge partner came out, Apollo Crews. He came out to help. He threw Sasha Banks to the Singh brothers and Jinder Mahal, but apparently she was alright. I guess if you have a situation in life, just throw Sasha Banks at people. You might need to do that next time out, you know. I might have to do that next time someone comes up to me and if I, Sasha! Ah! But yeah, the match itself was an advert for the show, I keep saying that. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. Particularly, you can skip it, guys, I would, in my opinion, but you get to see Bayley win again, so I guess that's always a positive. Next up, we had Lio Rush versus Elias. Now, this has all been building up from what happened last week when Elias smashed his guitar over Lio Rush, which was probably one of the best parts of last week's episode of Raw. And who did we have? A special guest referee? Heath Slater! Yeah, we've seen him in his new get-up on Raw now. Like we said last week, he's now a referee. I guess that's it. But this was all breadcrumbs. This is all very interesting breadcrumbs, and I can see this getting involved in TLC, if you get where I'm coming from. But yes, this was breadcrumbs for later on in the show, where Heath Slater is watching the match. Elias is pretty... Lio Rush is getting his offense. He's a great little high flyer, and he's great from getting out of tight corners. But once Elias got him, match over really. Until Bobby Lashley got involved, he started beating the crap out of Elias. Slater's about to call the match off. Bobby Lashley says something to him. It's like I think he's saying something about Baron Corbin. Slater doesn't do well. Bobby Lashley just completely destroys Elias. Then Lio Rush smashes his Elias's guitar over. Lio Rush pins Elias 1, 2, 3, and Lio Rush gets his first victory on Monday Night Raw over Elias. I'm gonna give this, because it's a breadcrumb kind of situation and you kind of see where this is going, a 6 out of 10, because obviously this is like what's going on with Slater. Slater's obviously a babyface, but obviously he's being controlled by the heels, especially with the job situation, and especially with guys like Lashley and Rush, who are BFFs with acting general manager Baron Corbin. So it is good storytelling, and I thought this was interesting at its best. At the end. Next up, we had the face-to-face between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax, and this was boring. I honestly thought this was boring, and reason is Nia cut a boring ass heel promo saying, "I destroyed Becky Lynch's face. And it was like, alright, yeah, we've heard this over and over again, and yet Nia, I don't care. It's that worst thing where Nia's being pushed as the biggest heel on Raw right now for the women's division, and yet you just don't care. Ronda Rousey comes out, she and Nia have a battle of words, and next thing we know, we get Ember Moon versus Tamina, because obviously that's going to happen. Nia Jax tries to get involved, Ronda Rousey kind of deflects anything Nia Jax tries to do, and Ember Moon wins the match. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. I thought this was awful. I think the Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey stuff is crap. At best, I hope something exciting does happen for the TLC match, because my god, the build-up's been awful. I think Tamina and Ember Moon, I feel sorry to put a poor grade on Ember Moon because she's really good in the ring, but it's just kind of like one of those matches you just don't care about because the opponents they're taking on are just forgettable. Tamina is not a threat in the women's division. I don't understand how they're trying to get her over like that when half the time she's never felt like that in the first place. So yeah, I do feel sorry for Ember Moon. Personally, I give Ember Moon 10s all the time because she's a fantastic wrestler, but this situation just doesn't help her. I think it's actually made her stock go down being involved with the Raw Women's Champion, which shouldn't be that way. Last but not least, we got our TLC match, and this was Baron Corbin versus Seth freaking Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship match. And my god, guys, this was bloody brilliant. I enjoyed every single bit of this match. They were fighting on the stages with all the chairs and ladders and tables. They were using it in ring. It was just absolutely chaotic, and I love this type of match where Seth Rollins can show exactly why he's the best. And this is WWE at their best. You got the biggest heel, Baron Corbin, in the company right now. I mean, you've got Seth Rollins, the biggest babyface on Raw, who's not injured. Put them together, my god, you have chemistry. It's shocking that something so simple like the biggest heel versus the biggest babyface would have this kind of reaction, but it does. And it was entertaining. The fans enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, and it was a good main event. It was probably the best main event we've had on Raw in some time. That's telling you something. I honestly don't understand how Seth Rollins is just the Intercontinental. I know saying the Intercontinental Championship is just the Intercontinental. It's bloody brilliant is that belt, because Seth Rollins, The Miz, guys like that have elevated the title, and that's what they are. This felt like a world title match. This felt like it should have been for a universal title. This is how big it was. That's how big it should have been. But yeah, both guys really did a fantastic job. I don't usually give Baron Corbin a lot of praises, but this type of match really worked for him. His selling was fantastic. His snively kind of hiding behind. Heath Slater again was the referee. Kind of like I said, breadcrumbs, which I do like. And that really did work. Slater, something must have been said to Slater backstage, because Slater was helping Baron Corbin near the end. It looked like Seth was going to win. Slater pushes Seth off the ladder to try and get the Intercontinental. Everyone's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's great storytelling. I hope this has something like this continues down in TLC. I hope TLC we have Heath Slater in the match and something happens. I want something like that to happen. Really good. So I'm just gonna take my word for it, guys. Watch it. It's worth every second of watching. I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10. Actually, no, screw it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Seth Rollins earned another point on that because he was so good. And Baron Corbin's selling was bloody brilliant as well. So 9 out of 10. Fantastic end to the show. And there you go, guys. That was Raw for this week. What did I think? I think it was much better than what we got for the last 2 weeks. Was it a really good show? No. It was a slightly good. Middle bit was typical Raw. Brilliant. It's kind of one of those, like, it's really good strong start. Typical Raw, middle bit. Really good. Really good end. I just don't. We had a really brilliant promos from Dean Ambrose as well backstage during interviews. They're showing like the video package of him and the Shield and all this. That was great as well. And everything else in between the show was brilliant. So I'm going to give this week's episode of Raw a 7 out of 10. It's worth checking out just for the start, the Raw Tag Team title match and the Intercontinental title match. Everything else you kind of can miss, guys. It's not really that important. But yeah, what was your favourite part of this week's episode of Raw? Leave it in the comments below. If you do like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do it. It's at SmackTalkYouTube. That's a U and a tube. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do it. It's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.